ReasonConf is brought to you by our gold sponsors Ahrefs and Chain Street.
I want to introduce myself. My name is Patrick. You probably have seen me walking around very busily. Don't worry about it if I look a little bit tired or something. It's just I just try to make sure that everything is settled. And I also want to say I'm not the head of the conference. I want to thank Nick and Andre, who unfortunately could not make it to his own conference, but it's fine, to make this happen. And I'm super glad that we got around, I think, 200 people here, which is amazing. Like, it's even more than last year. And I was not actually prepared to talk about it, but in the end, I'm happy because I think it's a very interesting topic you might be interested in. And I just want to talk a little bit about the organization we founded, which is called Reason Association. So what is this association about? Just a little backstory. Last year, when we organized ReasonConf here in Vienna, we had this very weird issue. You need to have some kind of legal entity around your around your project if you have a lot of money involved. Like if you have 50 to 100K budget and you have to move around the money, it's very problematic, especially in Austria, because you need to have someone reliable for that. And last year, Nick did a great sacrifice and put himself in this position to put himself in charge of this and putting everything in his bookkeeping and such. And it's actually very bad if something goes wrong. Yeah, so we are really happy this actually worked out. Anyways, I always had this dream and idea to have an organization which kind of represents what we would call the Reason community. We know there's the Okemo community, but there never has been something which just revolves around the Reason language and syntax. And I find this very unfortunate. And when we saw the interest in the last ReasonConf, how many people were involved, and when we saw how people engaged with each other, we realized there is actually a huge potential to create something big. And for that we needed some kind of foundation, organization, which caters to this community. Otherwise they will just go everyone in a different direction, and nobody has really a good idea what's going on, what's the roadmap. We rely heavily on private industry, on companies, but they are very secretive about things. So we try to kind of represent the open source community in that regard. So our goals actually of this organization are to promote, to support, and develop the Reason platform, as we will call it. And this involves many communities actually. So we have the Reason community, we have the Okemo community. That's why on every, probably you noticed it, when you go to the ReasonConf website, or if you go to the Reason Association website, you will see Okemo on every page. That's not because we are so super fond of Okemo, but we feel that Okemo is a very, very interesting foundation we can build on, and we should leverage this foundation. We should not only build our own ideas, but we should also contribute back to the platform we origin from, in a sense, if this makes sense for you. But we also have the JavaScript community, which is highly motivated and pushes forward. It's 1 year in JavaScript years is actually, I don't know, I think, yeah, 1 real year is actually 5 JavaScript years or something like this. So we have to keep this pace as well, but at the same time have the sanity of the Okemo platform. So our values is, of course, we leverage the Okemo platform. We try to connect communities. I don't know how many of you, 115 people have been at the workshops, and I think 30 people of you had been at the Okemo workshop. So how do you like it? In general? Was it good? So I really think Okemo has some really nice traits, and a lot of people are enthusiastic about it. So we need to connect those people, because when people talk, they get new ideas and they figure things out which we consider it as a problem. Oh, this is a major problem. And then you talk to some Okemo people and they're like, oh, this is a problem for you, we can solve it. And then you can collaborate, right? So it's establishing a communication channel. And another very, very important feature is, or goal of us, is to achieve great UX. And as Cheng told us in his keynote, it's about the user. It's about who is my target group, how does he interact with, or she interact with our platform, our products. And I think a community should also be treated as kind of a product. So when you go to any documentation pages, or if you're using any development tool, there should be a nice developer experience. And we should also use the tools, we should use the tools ourselves to build these great products. So it's all about dogfooding, as we would call it. So just to give you an idea of what we are currently focusing on, we have several projects. ReasonConf took a lot of time, obviously. So hopefully after the conference we have more time contributing back to the technical parts. So for instance, we have been helping out Cristiano with GenType. If you know GenType, it's a tool which works together with BuckleScript to enable you to have easy interop from the Reason world. If you have records, if you're using old Reason React components and you just want to seamlessly integrate it in your TypeScript, Flow, or JavaScript code base, you can do that with GenType. And we have been helping out with making it platform compatible with Windows and also have automatic CI to deploy it on every commit. And this worked out really, really nicely. I also want to thank Cristiano for all his great work he does for GenType. So. What I've been personally involved was OhDoc. So who knows OhDoc? Yeah, quite a few people. It's this thing everyone knows about, but nobody can use. And I don't know why. I probably can't use it either, but at least, so what we did was we added a flag, which enabled us to show reason-flavored function signatures in the HTML documentation instead of Okemo ones. And you probably know this, just for those people who didn't raise their hands. So you know this ominous website called bucklescript.github.io. And we have this API section here. And this is the scary part, I think, of BuckleScript. So if you go to this JavaScript namespace here, this is like the module for doing all the JavaScript interrupt parts. And every time, the first time when I visited the site as a Reason user who never worked with BuckleScript, I was confused. I was lost. Is this part of because everything is nice, UX-wise, and then you get to this page and you have weird examples with weird syntax I don't recognize. And you have no visual separation. Where does the function start? Where does it end? Where is the description? And this is a problem. And this is caused because it is kind of using a very old version of OhDoc to generate this documentation. Anyways, there are some very eager people in the community, and I'm very happy they are here, also here attending. They try to integrate this OhDoc tool into the BuckleScript tool chain. And what this enables us is, instead of having this very confusing documentation, we could also have proper, at least visual sound separations. If you look at the definitions, I mean, the syntax is still not perfect because it's missing the parentheses. But generally, the infrastructure is there to make this happen. And another thing we wanted to add is basically the reason toggler, that you can toggle between both syntaxes on each side. So the goal is not only to provide reason syntax support, but give OCamlers no choice than generate the documentation for both communities, because then we can leverage both platforms, right? So you can use OCaml libraries, you can use reason libraries, both of the communities win. This is the exchange I was talking about. So yeah, thanks Leandra for the nice contributions to trying to integrate OhDoc with BuckleScript. We're getting there, I'm sure. And also a lot of people were hesitant about BuckleScript. They were like, is it moving forward? Is it slowing down? Is it still interesting for the companies using it? And we're totally convinced that BucketScript is a tremendous amount of effort to maintain, of course. But it's also pushing forward. Like we see with the new Reason React API release and the new BucketScript releases, this is getting huge. And I really want to leverage this like movement, like this acceleration. We had so much acceleration last year, and then it kind of like went down a little bit, and I want this to go up again. I think this is a great platform we should commit on. To talk a little bit about what an association actually does, not only the technical part, but we do all this, networking part, and we try to represent like the voice of the Reason community, and we try to manage fundings. We write proposals to call for funds, and we also got funding from the Okemo Software Foundation already. I think this is getting better, and like ultimately, I would like to be able to also give back to the open source developers who have been working hard on the Reason syntax, have been working hard on the tooling, and make this just a nice experience in the community to work for it as well. I think everyone should benefit from it. So this is it. I hope you learned a little bit about it. If you're interested more about the organization itself, you can talk to me during the breaks. And I wish you a pleasant stay at the conference and a nice dojo tomorrow. Thank you very much.